Welcome back, friends. Lost Sky and it's time for more of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Let's do this thing. What were we doing? Well, we just completed the summation examination. That's what we did. So, continuing from there, let's continue this voice LP. I hit to be continued, right? Okay. Order, please. Let us resume proceedings. Witnesses, you will now pre-take the stand. Oh yeah, these guys. We're doing more of this stuff, huh? Gregson's like, ah! I presume you had the Defense Counsel's summation examination? Oh, yeah, Governor. I did, Gov, I did. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. Cool, blimey. This is going to be hard work. Earlier in this trial, you gave the following testimony about your actions after you entered Windibanks. Well, it was bedlam soon as, weren't it? It was, Nash, it was. Didn't even have time to pull me dukes out my loose lockets. However, that was a lie. You brothers. Cool, blimey. Oh my god. On the night in question, you rifled through the items on the victim's counter. We never done nothing of the sort. How'd you figure that out? Oh my god. You will now give formal testimony once again. You will tell the court precisely what happened on the night in question, and this time you will tell the truth. Each lie that passes your lips serves to increase the severity of your punishment. Ooh, and that, gentlemen, may deal a crushing blow to your chances of ever seeing the light of day again. Ah, the jiggle physics on that man's cheeks. A thought worth pondering, perhaps. Say no more, Governor, will you? We'll blab, we'll squawk, we'll peach. Witness testimony. Illegal entry, the whole truth. We did knock a few things over, but we weren't rifling for nothing. It was when we heard the gunshot scene made us bow jump and all that stuff went flying. No, it didn't give me a fright, but we was thinking the shooter'd come out the door and get us next. We stuck everything back where we found it and scampered straight into him in the black. We couldn't have shot the pawnbroker, see? We never even had a chance, did we? So instead you shot, you know, her. So you admit to the defense's accusation. We did indeed ransack Mr. Windibank's countertop on the night in question. Not ransack, Governor, no. That's right, Nash, that's right. It's more like we tied it up, yeah. Sorry. By their own admission, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery under dubious circumstances. However, they panicked and fled on hearing the gunshot, having first made good their mess. The way you say it, we hardly sound like roughs at all. We don't, Nash, we don't. Can you make us sound a bit more cutthroat? It can't just be coincidence that these men showed up at the Windibanks that night. There's more to this testimony than meets the eye, I'm sure of it. So Gregsy's got to be there for a reason. He's got to be there to react to something, or make them react to something. Mom, we didn't get a thing back out of the continued with the boss.
Hold it!
They want me to fail. If that's the case, then why didn't you testify to that effect in the first place? Well, you know, we ain't exactly squeaky clean, are we? Wait, Nash, we ain't. If we admitted to something like that, people would think we was up to no good. Well said, Ringo, old China. We'd only land ourselves in even more trouble. And in fact now, as a result of lying in your previous testimony, that's exactly what you've done. Land yourselves in even more trouble. Well, That's rotten luck. Says the rotten apple eater. Witnesses? Explain your actions to the court. Why did you ransack the victim's counter? We never ransacked nothing. Right, Nash, right. More like we tidied the place up. Sorry. Oh my god. Hold it! So what you're saying is, the sound of the gunshot shocked you so much, you knocked all those things off the counter? Well, it shocked one of us that much here. This bag of nerves needs to learn to keep his shirt on. Look, it was loud, alright? Blimey. My dead granny would have woken up to that bang. Big brother here screamed like a blooming baby and fell over on the counter. He knocked over a load of books, a candlestick, and some skull whatnot. They got tangled in some marionette. What knocked over a picture frame? What knocked on scales on the floor? You've really mastered working quietly then. What a racket. My granny would have been scared back into her grave at a cloud like that. So in short, the gunshot took you by surprise. And then some. I mean, it was quite as whoa. And then some. I mean, it was quite as a mouse, and then all of a sudden, bam! Oh, Gregson. Oh my god, the way he eats. Alright. I want to eat like that, with no fear. No fear of making a mess. You know, like a 2-year-old. Jesus, alright. You know, just someone else has to clean up, of course, would be part of the stipulation. Okay, this is you going. So we'll do that after we do the full thing. In picture scene, right? I heard a shot, the next thing I know, there's a skull rolling across the floor. Car. That deafening bang in the pitch black. You ain't gonna forget that in a hurry, I can tell you. And yet, despite being so scared, you had the composure to tidy the mess you'd made? What do you mean, Gov? I would imagine most people would have left the rolling skull and fled without a second thought. You want to give the Skokin Bros a bad name? If no one else were tidy. Well, pardon me for the slander. What does Lummy mean? So you didn't try to open the storeroom door then? Not in your life. It went deadly quiet after that, it did. Put the wind right up me. But anyway, the door was locked, wasn't it? Weren't it? No way that was opening. Yes, of course. It was locked from the inside, or so we've been led to believe. It was, Giv, it was. From the inside. Right, so we had no way of knowing what was going on in there, did we? Unless there was some other way to get a view of the inside of the storeroom. Like through the keyhole or a spy hole, perhaps? There ring no bells, don't light no lights. We had to cut and run before we noticed anything like that. We're still cutting our teeth in this cave, see? But one day, we'll really cut the mustard. Please cut it out. But as we know, behind that door was the victim's lifeless body, with the accused not 2 feet away. Yes, unfortunately. Yep, Gina was in there, unconscious, with a gun in her hand. To confirm, would it be correct to say that neither of you set foot inside the storeroom? That's right, Gil, that's right. Wouldn't have even if we'd wanted to. Hold it! Yes, whereupon you fired a shot from your own gun at Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Oh, yeah, we was a bit hasty there. We was, Nash, we was. Truth be told, I was already shaking like a leaf when you lot turned up. If you're shaking like a leaf, don't put it below a gun in your hand. Good advice, miss. Good advice. Truth be told, me mind went totally blank. If all your mind goes totally blank, make sure you don't have a water gun in your hand. I love that's her shtick right now. Mental note made, miss. After that, we legged it down the street, but apparently we looked dodgy to the coppers or something, so they clapped the derbies on us like winking. And after you'd been handcuffed, the police found this revolver in your possession, correct? Yeah. Well, listen, that proves it, don't it, eh? Bet they didn't shoot the, what do you call it?
Hold it!
Now, why should we believe that? Eh? What? Well, because it's true, isn't it? This place is totally empty when we went in. At that time, the victim was already in the storeroom, having been forced to open the door by the accused who had a gun to his head. Huh? She couldn't possibly have the gun to his head. In other words, on the night in question, these two witnesses never even laid eyes on the proprietor of the pawnbrokery, Mr. Windybank. Correct? You got it, mister. Down to a T. So the Skulkin brothers never actually encountered Mr. Windybank? Is that really true, I wonder? That's it? That's the full extent of their testimony? What is it, Wuno? You look very fierce. I could pour you some herbal tea if you're tired. Oh, thank you, but I'm fine. Being such a logical thinker, you'll probably laugh. But I feel as though these brothers are still hiding something. Something important. It is nothing more than a feeling, though. I have no proof to support it. Well, feelings can be very logical at times. Sorry? People's expressions, the movement of their eyes, the words they choose. You can take all that in, and your brain will quietly analyze it to come up with a feeling like you described. You concluded that there's something suspicious about this testimony without knowing why, that's all. I think you should trust your instincts. Iris, thank you. Sometimes I think it's, if she's 10 years old, I must be 5. Yeah, you probably are. Okay. Alright, so it was the next part? Yeah, right here, this is where we go. With them cheeks physics. Get the Gregson going. Reminds me, I saw Marmaduke today, like a giant dog today. Great Danes are huge. There it is! There we go, let's go. Inspector Gregson, do you have something to add? Like I keep saying, I don't appreciate being lumped in with these scoundrels. No, something to add about their testimony? You seemed to react just now at what Mr. Skulkin said. Did it make you think of something? It's probably nothing, of course. I wouldn't even bother to mention it, only... Well, the fact is, cases don't get solved if you ignore the little details. How about you just tell us what's on your mind? As you know, we brought these fellas in to the yard for questioning last night. The statement they gave them then told a slightly different story to what they're saying now. Did it? You claimed you heard the victim shout something out before the gunshot. Might have, Gib, might have. It does ring a bell now you mention it. Granted, it's only a minor detail, but still. I can't help feeling like perhaps you've been a bit sloppy with your testimony here, eh, fellas? By discovered witnesses' testimony has been any more sloppy than it has hitherto proven to be. I shall be forced to bring the very harshest punishment to bear against them. Easy, easy. I get it right this time. That's it, yep, it's all coming back to me now. Then speak. Supplement your testimony with whatever details have miraculously returned to your questionable minds, sirs. Right you are, Gav. Just for the gunshot, we heard a voice yelling out, "Give me that gun!" Alright. So in fact you heard the voice and the gunshot almost simultaneously? We did, Gav, we did. Although I suppose if you're being honest, we heard a kind of wavering voice before the yelling, oh? If you don't want to get shot, give me that gun! Bam! Oh. Kind of thing. A career acting tragically missed. But he was shot from behind, so he couldn't have been just running at someone. And where were the voices coming from? Could you tell? Of course we could. From the other side of that door behind the counter it was. From the storeroom, where the victim was found dead. And the voice you heard, it was that of the victim, Mr. Windybank. Oh, my granny's life, of course it was. On his granny's life, of course it was. So that would mean that you both knew Mr. Windybank on the sound of his voice. Oh, so that would mean what? What, Nash, what? Any ideas? Yes, Counsel, indeed it would. No, we didn't know the geezer. How am I supposed to deny it when the bloke and all the fancy clobbins giving us the evil eye? If you value your lives, you will ensure your testimony is accurate and true. On his granny's life it is. On his granny's life it must be. It's a good job his granny's dead. To summarize then, immediately after hearing the voice of the victim, you then hear the gunshot, causing you to stumble and upset the items on the counter, scattering them over the shop floor. You make it sound like we're clumsy. Don't forget we tied it up after we, like good little boys. Anyway, the way we see it. Okay. The bloke who owned the place was holding a gun, so he shouldn't have just fired instead of yelling at the girl. So he should have just fired instead of yelling at the girl. Okay, what? Hold it! You're saying that Mr. Windybank had a gun in his hands? Oh yeah, I bet there was a sight, eh? Them two waving them guns at each other must have been pretty heated. I mean, just before he shot it out, we heard the geezer say if you don't want to get shot. Didn't really sound like he meant it, mind, but more of an empty threat, you could say. Mr. Windybank was known to keep a revolver on his shop counter at all times. People say that to protect the articles in his keeping, he'd readily put a bullet in someone's head if required. That someone being himself, of course. Good grief, extraordinary devotion indeed if alarmingly misguided. Well, he certainly sounded like he was ready to pull the trigger the other night. Only the person he was gonna shoot beat him to it. Cooked his goose proper. Bet he wished he'd squeeze the trigger instead of wasting time shooting. Give me that gun. And it was directly after these words that you heard the gunshot? It was more or less at the same time, Gov. Give me that gun. Bam! Kind of thing. Yes, a career in acting very tragically missed. Then we heard the sound of someone hitting the deck. Before everything went dead quiet. After that, we'd done a slapdash job tidying the place up. Right. I'm not sure where to hit them right now. I've been thinking, what is the thing to show? Windybank's gun? I guess let's present the gun, huh? Objection! It ain't this! When his last system was clear, the odds with this piece of evidence. I'm sorry, Counsel, but I fail to see the connection. Oh, and for heaven's sake, would you kindly desist from the wide-eyed, panic-stricken look you want to wear. But it's the only panic-stricken look I know. Okay, let's see. What about this?
Objection!
That's it! Yep, there it is. Okay. Fine, we'll accept that mistake. So you're saying that on the night in question, the victim, Mr. Windybank, was wielding a gun? Is that correct? That's it, Gov. You got the picture. He has, Nash. He has. No question. And yet, photographic evidence obtained immediately after the incident clearly shows that Mr. Windybank was not holding a firearm of any description. Eh? You what? Gordon Bennett, that ain't right.
Objection!
There can be no question that the victim's revolver was used in the incident. I would remind the court that Mr. Windybank's gun was found at the scene. Not only was it identified as the murder weapon, but it was found in the accused's hand. Friggin' box. Yeah, that mall tool used the victim's own gun to finish him off. Give me that gun. Bam! Kind of thing.
Hold it!
Except... say exactly where you are, right there. Eh? If the crime had taken place as you've so colorfully described in your testimony, it would give rise to an undeniable and significant inconsistency in the final moments you just acted out. Goodness, are you sure, Counsel? You intrigue me, my learned friend, but let's see some evidence to support your claim. Where is the proof that demonstrates this inconsistency in the witness's portrayal of the victim's final moments? Where's the autopsy report? Right here? Bullet from the back.
Take that!
According to their testimony, the witnesses claim to have heard a shout of "Give me that gun," followed by the gunshot. Indeed, with the two events happening almost simultaneously, or so we've been led to believe. Yes, that's right. Now, if that testimony is true, it would mean that at the moment of death, the victim and his attacker would have been facing each other. However, in the autopsy report, it clearly states that the victim died instantly after being shot from behind. So, as I stated before, there is an undeniable inconsistency with your testimony, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. Yeah. But is the God honest truth? It is, Nash, it is. When he was shot that night, the shopkeeper had a gun in his hand. We saw it with our own bleeding eyes. What? Did I hear you right just now? You actually saw Mr. Windybank holding a gun? Somewhat like that might have slipped out. Ladies and gentlemen, you have all just heard the admission by these two witnesses that on the night in question, they actually saw, with their own eyes, the victim wielding a gun. Which can only mean that despite the testimony to the contrary, the Skulkin brothers must have encountered the victim in person. Nash, Order! Witnesses, explain yourselves at once. Well, the thing is, it weren't supposed to, Oh, it would seem that my previous warning fell on deaf ears. I made it quite clear that false witness would be the death of you. Am I to understand that you replaced the untruth of your original testimony with renewed lies? Ever so sorry, Governor. The truth is, see, we, Cut it out, Nash, cut it out. You were blah blah, you know what it'll do to us. He? Who are they talking about? Let me make your position here perfectly clear. You will talk. There is no other option available to you. Ralph, come on, the game's up. Have our guts for garters. In case it hasn't quite sunk in yet, no matter how hard you try to hide it, the truth will come out. On the night in question, it is now apparent that you brothers met face to face with the victim. I demand that you testify again to explain the precise circumstances under which this meeting took place. Well... Do we have to? On pain of death. I suggest you make yourselves fully aware that this is your very last chance to tell the truth. Final testimony. Encounter with the victim. Alright, so we just got inside the gaff and he heaved a sigh of relief when the geezer showed his mug up. Showed his mug. Give him that gun, he bellowed, and then he flew at us like he was possessed. I thought we'd had it. Found out the geezer, the bloke was strong as an ox. He checked me over the counter. I pulled my gun on him and then he legged it through that door into the back room. We never had nothing to do with killing him. That's all what happened, I swear. Where's the gun part? So you're now telling us that moments before the victim was killed in the storeroom, you in fact encountered him in the main part of the shop? Yeah, sorry. Well, we find ourselves at an interesting juncture. This changes matters considerably. But honest, Governor, this time, Nurse, this time, we ain't got nothing more to hide. Oh, they got more. Very well, counsel for the defense, you may proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. This is it. The moment I've been waiting for. Oh man, out of energy. Encounter with the victim. Alright, so we just got inside. Oh, wait, this. Okay. Press. When you say geezer, I presume you mean the victim and proprietor of the shop, Mr. Windybank? Well, sorry, I mean, that's right. Who was keeping an eye close on the entrance of the gap, obviously. But we never thought no one was gonna come out of the back room like that. The back room being the pawnbroker's storeroom. Yeah, that must be where he popped up from. Only place we could have been. So it seemed the victim was already in the storeroom when these brothers entered the premises. Which means Kenny must have been in there at the point as well. That doesn't make sense, does it? If Gina had threatened Mr. Windybank into the storeroom with her at gunpoint, then why would he have emerged from the same storeroom all alone while the brothers arrived? I don't know. Did you see the accused at the time? What, that mole to it? Couldn't tell you. No way, Copper. We had bigger fish to fry then. I mean, the old geezer just lost it.
Hold it!
You mentioned that Mr. Windybank shouted those words in your previous testimony, too. However, you claimed that you heard him yelling them on the other side of the storeroom door. Did we? But the truth is, he was shouting those words at you, wasn't he? Yeah. Was the victim, Mr. Windybank, wielding a gun at the time? Was he ever? Blimey, lummy, a great ugly barrel he had, pointed straight at my frontispiece. So what you're saying is, you definitely saw Mr. Windybank with the gun at the time, is that right? It is, Gov, it is. Spot on. Then all of a sudden, he came at us, he did. It was bedlam. I didn't know who was going for who. You were clearly all going for each other. Like Nash said, we thought he had it. I mean... An old geezer, the bloke was strong as an ox. He checked me over the counter. Oh my god. Tossing. Yes, noted that you mentioned the counter in your previous testimony, too. I noticed. Well, yeah, of course we did. He knocked over a load of books, candlestick, and some skull whatnot. I got tangled as a marionette. What knocked over a picture frame? What knocked them scales on the floor? So in fact, it wasn't the sound of the gunshot that shocked you and made you knock those things off the counter. Well, Big Brother here went flying over the counter like a gunshot, I can tell you. And the old geezer pinned him. Oh. He did, as you did. If he hadn't been there, the bloke would have flattened me like a balloon and pancake in seconds. At the time in question, the alarm was raised at the local police station via a secret cable from the pawnbrokery. There's a button under the counter used to activate it, which was presumably pressed by the victim. That's right, when the brothers fled the scene and back onto the street. They ran straight into the arriving police, didn't they? Well, Mr. Windybank, he did everything he could to protect your shop.
Hold it!
Were you intending to shoot Mr. Windybank? No, I was just, looking out for me bro, weren't I? He was being flattened, don't forget. By a man whose shop was being burgled, yes. And then the man fled into the storeroom when you pointed your gun at him, is that it? Yeah, that's it. He shoved me away, then ran off for that door and shut himself in. Huh, there's something about that last remark. Something that doesn't quite ring true. I wonder why Mr. Windybank went away into the storeroom. What? Well, according to what everyone's saying, Jenny was in there waiting for him with a gun. Ah, yes, that's right. Gina allegedly used Mr. Windybank's gun to threaten him and force him to open the storeroom door. In which case, how did the gun end up in Mr. Windybank's hands again? I have no idea, but that is strange, isn't it? This little inconsistency could be significant. I should make a mental note of it. Look, the point is, me and my brother here. That's right, Nash, that's right. Me and my brother here.
Hold it!
You say it had nothing to do with it? Nothing at all. Nothing, Gav, nothing. The old geezer went and shut himself in the back room, didn't he? Locked it was from the inside. We know it was because we tried to open it. But it's a decent door, that one. Good and strong, wouldn't budge an inch. So in the end, the situation remains unchanged. Huh. Inside the storeroom with the pawnbroker, there was only one other person. The sole person who could possibly have shot the victim. The accused, Miss Gina Lestrade. Ah! It would indeed appear so. What say you to that, Counsel? I don't know. Was there anyone else apart from Gina who could possibly have shot Mr. Windybank? There could have been. Mr. Skulkin. Eh? What? What did I look for? From the moment you admitted that you'd encountered the victim face to face that night, the course of this trial changed completely. It did? What is your point, my learned friend? The question we must answer is, who could have shot Mr. Windybank? And is the belief of the defense that the defendant is not the only possible answer at all. Robber. You have my attention. In that case, let us return to this plan of the premises. The victim was killed in a storeroom, which was locked from the inside. Those are the facts. So pray, what other possible answer to the question of who shot the man could there be? Counsel, you must now provide answers to the court in respect of 2 conundrums. 2, my lord? Twice as many chances to be right, maybe. Indeed, namely, from what location did the culprit shoot the victim? And furthermore, Where was the victim at the time? Ah. Understood, my lord. Are you alright, Luna? I'm not entirely sure, but there's one thing I'm sure about. If I can prove that there's a credible alternative to what happened, it would change Gina's prospects hugely. So now, time for some clarity. Show the court on this plan the answers to the questions posed by his lordship. If you believe someone else could have killed the victim, indicate from where that person could have fired the gun. Ooh, we gonna save the game right here. Okay, here? Like right here, they can shot him while he was in the storeroom.
Take that!
The defense believes that the culprit could have shot the victim from this location here. And in answer to the second question, assuming the culprit fired from the location indicated, where was the victim at the time?
Take that!
The culprit shot the victim from outside the storeroom. Continue. Mr. Windybank died instantly from a bullet wound in his back. Looking at the stain of blood on the storeroom floor, it doesn't appear that the body was moved after death. Which tells us that he was almost certainly shot while he was in the storeroom. However, the crucial point is, where was the shooter when the fatal bullet was fired? So you are adamant that the shot was fired from outside the storeroom? Well, according to the Skulkin brothers' earlier testimony, I pulled my gun on him and then he legged it in through that door into the back room. And Mr. Windybank ran away through that door. We had to assume that the door was open at the time. Oh! It was at precisely that moment when the victim was fleeing for his life that these brothers had the perfect opportunity to shoot the man in the back once he was inside the storeroom. Come to think of it, do you remember what the prosecutor said at the start of the trial? Moving on to the findings of Scotland Yard's coroner. His report states that the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory. It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself. Poor man, shot when he was running as fast as he could to safety. Ah, of course! He would have been leaning forward as he was running away. So even if the bullet was fired horizontally, it would still have entered his body on an upward trajectory. What? I don't get it. The culprit isn't necessarily someone shorter than Mr. Windybank.
Objection!
I'm sure my learned friend can't have forgotten that the storeroom door was found closed and locked from the inside. You claim the victim was shot as he fled into the room. You also claim his corpse was dexterous enough to turn the key in the lock. Ah, but what if someone else locked the door? Yes, there is someone else who could have locked the storeroom door. Is that so? Very well then, counsel. Present your hypothesis to the court. In the scenario just described, the defense's assertion is that the victim was shot from outside the storeroom. In which case, who shut and locked the storeroom door from the inside? I assume Gina. I think it's Gina. Go, Gina.
Take that!
Obviously, the person who locked the door was the only other person inside the storeroom at the time. The defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Objection!
That's absurd. You're suggesting that the accused deliberately engineered the sealed room? For what possible reason? Such actions would only serve to tighten the noose around her neck. I'm inclined to agree, I must say. Well, Counsel? Ah, yes, that's a tricky one, that, isn't it? What? Look, if someone shoots Wendy Bank, I think you'd want to lock yourself in the room so you can't get shot at. Half-baked notions have no place in my courtroom, Counsel. Remember that, please. Well, of course Ginny would have locked the door. It almost goes without saying, doesn't it? It does? Well, if I was Ginny in that situation, I know I would have locked the door as quickly as I could. I mean, those two burglars had just fired a gun in her direction, hadn't they? Oh yes, obviously. Before the two brothers arrived, Miss Lestrade and Mr. Windybank were in the storeroom together. Now, I don't know what went on between them at the time, but at some point, Mr. Windybank must have heard the intruders breaking into his shop and left the storeroom. Intruders, eh? That's us, bro. If your theory is correct, that would leave the accused alone in the storeroom. Yes, it would. Then, probably only moments later, the victim fled back through the storeroom door, hoping to escape danger. Bang! Hit in the back by the bullet, Mr. Windybank fell to the floor where he was, just inside the storeroom. And what we have to ask ourselves now is, what would the defendant have done in that moment? I see where you're going with this. Outside the storeroom was a terrifying killer who had just murdered Mr. Windybank. As soon as that thought struck Miss Lestrade, she slammed the door shut and locked it, in order to save her own life. Bro. Who? But I mean, we ain't the ones who done it. We ain't got it. You gotta believe us. I mean, come on. We never shoot no one.
Objection.
You shot Hurley. That's blatantly untrue. I know for a fact that you would. Because before my own eyes, you shot Mr. Herlock Sholmes. There's only one logical conclusion here. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you brothers had every opportunity. Have been the true perpetrators of Mr. Windybank's murder. This means there had to be a third person with them, maybe, who did the shot and then they got the hell out. Where does this leave us, then? Mean to say it wasn't the pickpocket who shot the pawnbroker after all? I should have known it was those three brothers. They look as shady as a dense forest. Three brothers! That was amazing, wasn't it? All the members of Joey seem to be firmly on your side now. I know, first time ever, and probably the last. Well, I think you've got it. Surely they'll have to give a verdict if not. Here he comes. An admirable effort, my learned friend. Huh? What's this now? He's laughing. You find the situation amusing, Lord Von Zeeks? I myself found the defense's argument most persuasive. I dare say. Such chicanery is the bread and butter of the street performers in your provincial eastern nation. But such blatantly malicious conjuring tricks amounted nothing more than inexcusable pettifoggery here. Pettifoggery? What? The hypothesis you put forward so ostensibly credibly cannot and will not stand. Because you see, it contains a fatal flaw. A fatal flaw? Do you mean to tell me that you're unaware of your logic's failing? It's the fact the gun got used. I say, Lord Von Zeeks. Might be an idea to explain this bally conjuring trick or whatever it is to the troops on the ground, eh? The fatal flaw in my learned friend's argument is really very simple to understand. Assuming you're not too dim-witted to count bullets. By George, count bullets! Oh dear. You noticed then? Huh? What's everyone talking about? Iris knew. Counsel? Yes, sir? Tell the court how many bullets were found at the scene of the crime. Two. 2 bullets. Correct. The first, that which hit the victim in the back, ending his life. The second, that which struck the detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, on his arrival at the scene. Indeed. The defense presented a picture showing the damage caused by the second bullet earlier in the proceedings. The bullet which injured Mr. Herlock Sholmes appears to have passed through his body to strike the calendar. Your lordship's understanding is correct. Furthermore, we know there are 2 firearms involved in the incident. The revolver belonged to the victim, Mr. Windybank, and the Skulkin brothers' revolver. The evidence shows that a single bullet was fired from each gun. Yes, indeed it does. A single bullet from each. Now then, my learned friend. Huh. You yourself told the court only moments ago that these 2 brothers shot Mr. Herlock Sholmes right before your eyes. Yes, I did. Oh my goodness, I think you'll find that if the single bullet that was fired from the brothers' gun hit Mr. Sholmes, it means... Windybank not shot by same gun. Stop. Only 1 bullet. Stop. Exactly. Yes, this Nipponese street performer presented an ostensibly credible argument. However, it was never anything more than a diversionary trick, with no hope of standing up to scrutiny. Ah! Ah! Order! 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 Huh. Pray forgive the discourtesy of flinging the dregs of this hallowed nectar into the public gallery. Lord von Zeeks! But this court needs to open its eyes. The accused, Miss Gina Lestrade, is an ordinary little girl. Despite her young years, she can, regrettably, no longer be described as a juvenile. No, the person in the dock is far from a law-abiding citizen. She has a past riddled with criminal conduct. The truth is, the accused broke into the pawnbroker on the night in question with loathsome intent. As we can see beyond doubt in this print, which depicts her threatening the victim with the murder weapon. And I have here in my possession 1 more piece of evidence the prosecution wishes to present. The disc! I'll be taking that whatever it is from Mr. McGill down to the yard. Thank you very much. No, don't. My mother was a bear. No, don't. Don't give it to him. It's mine. That is mine. I'm sorry, miss. But anything belonging to McGill has to be taken in as evidence now. Yes, that music box disc. Mr. McGilded's music box disc. The very day before the hateful murder of Mr. Windybank, the accused attempted to make off with this article, which clearly doesn't belong to her. And with none of the subtlety of a pickpocket, I might add, but by brute force and brazen impudence. Good gracious. Make no mistake, any sympathy for the accused on account of her years is misguided and dangerous. There are no depths to which this girl would not stoop if pushed. No crime she would not commit. The court forgets that fact at its peril. I see. I think it would be prudent to take this music box disc into evidence counsel. Oh, ma'am, I thought it was giving out.
Hold it!
As a grim testament to what? Lord von Zeeks, I am... Inspector Gregson, what? Yes, Inspector? We had a meeting yesterday at the yard with the prosecution service, and, I think it was agreed that the disc couldn't be used as evidence. What's this all about? Why is the inspector acting strangely? That's the first time he said anything to Lord Von Zeeks at all. I am unaware of any such meeting. But those were the instructions right from the top! The government bigwigs were insistent! Inspector, I am the prosecutor, and I alone determine how to present my case. Your warning is noted. Thank you. Ah, my balls! Ah, balls! Gonna get fired. The prosecution wishes to proceed with submitting this disc as evidence, my lord. Indeed, bailiff. The music disc has been entered in the court record, and there's blood on it! The prosecution has established the accused's motive, opportunity, and baseness of character. Can we take a look at this thing? Take a look at this thing! Can I examine the blood? On the back is for McGilded. For McGilded? That's the man you defended in court a couple months ago, isn't it, Warner? Yes, or rather, mistakenly defended. I wonder what his name is doing on the back of his disc. That's a question I'd love to know the answer to myself. Now let's look at that blood, and then we'll stop at the blood. Oh, Luna, look! This is blood! Yes, you're right. Just a small smear, but definitely blood. Actually, I feel as though I might have noticed that before. It's my time to shine again. I thought I'd be waiting forever. Oh wait, hold still with that with this, Warner. Can we get this done quickly, Iris? In a flash! Green! What? Oh, why we white shade again? Wait, that color. What is it? It's just that green, it's not the first time we've seen that color, it is! Is it? Blood samples portfolio has been added to the court record. How do we make this relevant? Green! Purple. Blue! Green! 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 We assumed this was Sholmes' blood! But it's not! So we assumed that posing guy might have been one of McGillicud's men. What if that posing guy was actually an agent? Right? Okay, we assumed that was Sholmes' blood. It's not. It's not! But we never saw this guy. Which means there was a third gun? Which means the bullet's still in Sholmes! It means the bullet's still in Sholmes! Oh, snap! Okay. We stop there. We stop in that revelation. That's the cliffhanger. Let's stop there. Also, my throat can't handle anymore. It is sandpaper in my tongue, in the back of my throat right now. It needs lubrication. I need to put something down there. Alright, so that right there is the game for now. I had fun. Hope you have fun watching. That's what's all about it. Having fun. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time. Hell of a surprise there. Hell of a surprise.